The unusual payment. The market station was loud with voices, metal sounds, and engines. Ships landed, cargo moved, and deals were made. Humans and aliens mixed here, each with their own goals, each with their own secrets. For most, it was just another trading day. But for Ethan Cole, a human merchant, this day would not be normal. Ethan stood near his cargo ship, his eyes on the alien raiders who approached him. Their armor was dark, their faces hidden by masks. They carried strange weapons and moved like predators. These raiders were feared across many systems. They were dangerous, cruel, and not to be trusted. Still, Ethan needed this deal. His ship had been damaged after his last run, and he had debts waiting back on Earth. If he failed to trade, he would lose more than just money. He would lose his reputation, and reputation was everything in the void. The leader of the raiders, a tall figure with glowing yellow eyes, stopped in front of him. The deal was supposed to be simple. Ethan had delivered rare metals, and in return he was supposed to get fuel and credits. But the raider leader's tone was strange. "You will not take credits today," the alien said in a deep, broken voice. Ethan frowned. "What do you mean? We agreed." "I brought the metals. You give me the credits." That was the deal. The alien tilted his head. "Credits are worthless compared to what I offer. Today you take something else." From behind the raiders, two guards dragged a figure forward. Chains rattled as the figure stumbled into the light. Ethan's eyes widened. It was a girl. Her skin was pale silver, her hair long and dark, glowing slightly under the market lights. Her clothes were torn, but her posture, it was strange. Even in chains, she carried herself with pride. She did not look like a slave. She looked like someone forced into a role she did not belong to. The raider pushed her to the ground in front of Ethan. "This is your payment. Take her and the deal is done." Ethan's chest tightened. "A slave? You're offering me a living person as payment? That wasn't part of the bargain." The alien leader leaned closer, his voice low and dangerous. "She is worth more than any credits. Keep her, sell her. Do what you wish. Our deal is complete." Ethan glanced at the girl. She lifted her head slowly and met his eyes. For a moment, the chaos of the market seemed to vanish. Her eyes were sharp, intelligent, filled with something he couldn't explain. They weren't the eyes of a broken slave. They were the eyes of someone hiding something. Ethan shook his head. "I don't deal in people." The alien leader's mouth curved in what might have been a smile or a threat. "Then leave her here. But if you walk away, you leave with nothing. Your ship needs fuel. You need payment. Take her or walk into ruin. Choose." Silence fell between them. Ethan looked around. The other traders kept their distance. Nobody interfered in raider business. If he refused, he would lose everything. If he accepted, he would become part of something darker. The girl's chains clinked as she shifted. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Yet her eyes spoke loudly. "Don't trust them. Don't show weakness." Ethan exhaled slowly. He didn't like it, but he had no choice. "Fine," he said at last. "I'll take her." The raider leader gave a sharp laugh, then turned away. The deal was done. The raiders vanished into the crowd, leaving Ethan with the girl. He crouched near her, speaking softly. "Can you stand?" The girl nodded without a word. Ethan helped her up, surprised at how steady she was despite the chains. Her steps were graceful, almost royal, unlike any slave he had ever seen before. As they walked back to his ship, Ethan felt uneasy. Something about this entire trade was wrong. Why would the raiders give away a slave so easily? Why her? There was no profit in this unless she wasn't what she seemed. When they entered his ship, Ethan unlocked her chains. "You're free now." "I don't keep slaves." The girl rubbed her wrists but stayed silent. She looked around the ship with calm, careful eyes. She did not thank him. She did not smile. She simply studied him as if weighing his worth. Ethan tried again. "What's your name?" She looked at him, her voice soft but steady. "Names have power. You do not need mine." Her words sent a chill down his spine. Most slaves begged, cried, or shouted, but she was different. That night, as the ship prepared for launch, Ethan sat in the cockpit thinking. The girl was in the back, silent, always watching. He could feel it. He told himself it was just another job, just another strange deal in the endless void. But deep down he knew the truth. This was no ordinary payment. This was the beginning of something much larger, something dangerous. Outside, in the dark of space, small shadows moved. Ships, silent and waiting, followed from a distance. They were watching him, watching her, and in the quiet of his ship the girl touched a necklace hidden under her torn clothes. It glowed faintly, a soft light only she could see. Her lips curved into the smallest of smiles. Ethan thought he had accepted a slave as payment. But in reality, he had accepted a secret that could shake empires. The story had only just begun. A silent stranger. The ship's engines roared softly as Ethan guided it into the silent sea of stars. The space station faded behind them, swallowed by the dark. Only the hum of the ship and the blinking lights on the console filled the air. But Ethan's mind wasn't on flying. His thoughts kept returning to the girl sitting in the back. She hadn't spoken since they left. She just sat there, hands resting lightly on her knees, eyes half closed as if she was listening to something he could not hear. Ethan glanced at her through the reflection on the cockpit glass. She didn't move like a prisoner. She didn't carry herself like someone broken. Every small gesture, every breath felt controlled. Almost royal, he finally broke the silence. "You don't have to be quiet. You're safe now." Her voice was calm, soft, but sharp like a hidden blade. "Safe? You believe safety exists in space?" Ethan frowned. "Safer than with raiders." The girl opened her eyes, silver shining faintly against the dim lights of the ship. "The raiders were nothing. Shadows. The real hunters are still coming." Her words sent a cold wave through him. He wanted to ask what she meant, but something stopped him. Maybe it was the way she said it, with certainty, not fear, as if she knew danger better than he ever could. Ethan forced a small laugh. "You talk like you're the captain here." For the first time, she looked at him directly. There was no smile on her face, no warmth. Only a strange, quiet strength. "And you talk like a man who doesn't know what he has taken." The words stung. Ethan turned his eyes back to the console, but the silence between them only grew heavier. Hours passed. The ship drifted through empty sectors far from trade lanes. Ethan thought it was best to avoid attention for now. Still, something kept scratching at the back of his mind. The raiders, the deal, the way they had offered her without hesitation. Raiders never gave away something valuable unless it was poison. He went to the storage bay to check the supplies. Behind him he heard the faintest sound. Light footsteps. He didn't turn, but his hand brushed against the pistol at his side. "You don't trust me?" the girl's voice said. Ethan exhaled slowly. "Should I?" She stepped into view. The dim light glowed against her silver skin, making her look almost otherworldly. "Trust is a choice. But whether you trust me or not, it changes nothing." Ethan finally faced her. "Then tell me who you are. Why did they give you away? Why are we being followed?" Her lips curved, but it wasn't a smile, it was something colder. "If I told you, would you even believe me?" Before Ethan could answer, the ship's warning alarm screamed. Red lights flashed. Ethan ran to the cockpit, the girl following silently behind. On the radar, 3 small ships appeared, closing in fast. "Bounty hunters," Ethan muttered, his hands moving over the controls. "They found us already." The girl's eyes narrowed as she studied the radar. She spoke with calm certainty. "Not bounty hunters, trackers, sent by the ones who truly want me." Ethan snapped his head toward her. "Who are they? Why are they chasing you?" She didn't answer. Instead, she walked past him, her fingers brushing the ship's control panel like she had seen it before. Without hesitation, she pressed a sequence of buttons Ethan had never used. The ship's engines shifted, a hidden burst of power surging through. The vessel leapt forward with speed Ethan didn't know it had. The enemy ships fell back, their lock broken. Ethan stared at her. "How did you do that?" She looked at him calmly. "Your ship carries old human tech, but its design is stolen from alien cores. I know the language of machines." Ethan was speechless. She had just saved them. She had done it like it was nothing. But the questions only grew heavier. Hours later, after they had escaped the hunters, Ethan sat in the cockpit again. He couldn't take his eyes off her. She sat across from him now, watching the stars with an expression he couldn't read. He tried again. "You're not a slave. That much is clear. So what are you? A fugitive? A spy?" Her gaze turned to him slowly. "They call me a slave because it is easier than saying what I truly am. A title brings danger. Chains bring pity. But both hide the same truth." Ethan leaned forward. "And what truth is that?" Her eyes glimmered like silver fire. That I am worth more than all the ships in this sector. That those who chase me would burn worlds just to have me back. The words froze Ethan. He searched her face for any hint of a lie but found none. Before he could respond, she leaned closer, her voice almost a whisper. You think you accepted a slave, human. But what you accepted is war. Her words sank into him like ice. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly. But for the first time, Ethan felt the vastness of space press against him, heavy and suffocating. He hadn't just taken a girl. He had taken something far bigger, something far more dangerous. And whoever she really was, she wasn't done hiding. The ship flew silently through the void. But Ethan knew. Shadows still followed them. And this girl, this stranger, was at the center of it all, and she was no stranger at all. She was a storm waiting to break, whispers of truth. The ship drifted in silence, far from trade routes hidden among the cold stars. Ethan had kept the engines low to avoid detection, but his heart still beat fast. He had survived pirates before, but this was different. This was not about trade anymore. This was about the girl. She sat quietly in the corner of the cockpit, her silver eyes reflecting the faint glow of the consoles. She hadn't spoken since the escape. She didn't need to. Her silence was louder than words. Ethan stole another glance at her. She didn't look afraid. If anything, she looked patient, as though she was waiting for something. Finally, he broke the silence. You owe me answers. Who are you? Why are they hunting you? She didn't move. For a long moment, Ethan thought she wouldn't speak at all. Then her voice came, soft, steady, and colder than the void outside. They are not hunting me. They are hunting what I carry. Ethan frowned. What do you mean? I don't see any treasure. Just you. The girl's lips curved, not into a smile, but something sharper. You see me, but you don't understand me. Her words cut deep into him like a riddle with no solution. He clenched his fists. Then explain. Who are you? The girl tilted her head, her silver hair catching the faint light. Then she whispered, almost too soft to hear. My name is Layara. The sound of her name filled the cabin. Ethan didn't know why, but it felt heavy, like the name carried weight across the stars. Layara, he repeated, testing it. So what? That doesn't tell me anything, her eyes flashed. It tells you everything if you know the name. Ethan shook his head. I don't. Liara leaned back, her gaze turning toward the endless void. Good, it is better that way. Names can draw enemies. Names can start wars. Ethan felt a chill. He wanted to press her, to demand more, but something in her tone warned him not to. The hours stretched long. Ethan tried to rest, but sleep wouldn't come. The image of those hunter ships still haunted him. He had escaped them once, but they would return. They always did. As he lay awake, he heard a sound, soft, low, almost like a hum. He sat up and followed it. The sound came from the storage bay. When he entered, he froze. Liara stood in the center of the bay. The chains he had removed earlier lay discarded on the floor. Her eyes were closed, her hands hovering in the air. The faint glow of her necklace pulsed, sending waves of light across the walls. Ethan's breath caught. The light moved like living patterns, shapes, and symbols he didn't understand. Alien language. Ancient, powerful, what are you doing? Ethan demanded. Liara opened her eyes. The glow faded at once, leaving the bay in shadow again. She looked at him calmly, as though nothing strange had happened. Listening, she said simply. Listening. To what? To the stars. Ethan's jaw tightened. Don't play games with me. I saw what you did. That wasn't listening, that was something else. Liara stepped closer, her silver eyes locked on his. Do you want the truth, Ethan? Or do you want to keep believing this is just another trade gone wrong? Her voice was sharp now, almost accusing. Ethan didn't answer right away. He didn't want to admit it, but deep down he knew. This wasn't random. This wasn't luck. This girl, this Liara, was far more than she seemed. Tell me, he said finally. I need to know what I'm carrying on my ship. Liara studied him for a long time. Then she spoke, each word heavy. I was taken from my world. They call me slave because it hides the truth. But my blood carries power. My name carries enemies. And those who follow me will never stop. Ethan swallowed. So, what are you saying? You're some kind of noble? A leader? Her eyes hardened. I am saying that you, Ethan Cole, have taken into your ship the one person the galaxy would rather see chained. Or dead. The words struck him like a blade. He wanted to deny it, laugh it off, but the seriousness in her tone crushed any doubt. The ship jolted suddenly. An alarm blared. Ethan rushed to the cockpit, Liara close behind. On the radar, another shadow appeared, larger this time, closing fast. Not raiders, Ethan muttered, his throat dry. That's a patrol frigate. Heavily armed. Liara's hand brushed the console. Her eyes narrowed. They found me quicker than I expected. Ethan spun toward her. You expected this? She met his gaze without flinching. I told you. They will never stop. The ship shuddered as the frigate locked on. Ethan's hands flew over the controls, preparing evasive maneuvers. But the weight of her words sat heavy in his chest. He had thought he was carrying a slave. He had thought this was just another bad deal. But now he knew. He was carrying something far more dangerous. A girl whose name could start wars. A girl hunted across the stars. And her truth had only just begun to surface. As the frigate loomed larger, Ethan realized one terrifying fact. He hadn't just accepted Liara as payment. He had accepted a target painted in blood and fire. The chase begins. The patrol frigate grew larger on the radar, a dark predator closing in fast. Its weapons locked onto Ethan's ship, red markers flashing across the console. Ethan's chest tightened. A frigate was no pirate skiff. It had cannons that could tear his vessel apart with one volley. He slammed the controls, forcing the engines to full thrust. The ship lurched forward, rattling from the sudden power. We can't outrun them, Ethan muttered, sweat forming on his brow. Liara stood behind him, her voice calm, too calm. You cannot outrun them with human hands. But with mine, perhaps. Ethan shot her a glare. This isn't the time for riddles. Liara ignored his anger. She stepped closer, her fingers dancing over the console like she knew every switch and system. Strange patterns flashed across the screen, codes Ethan had never seen. The ship's engines roared louder, pushing to speeds Ethan didn't believe possible. The frigate fired. Red bolts of energy streaked past, one grazing the side of the ship. The hull shuddered, alarms screamed, and sparks burst from the ceiling. Shields dropping. Ethan shouted. Liara's silver eyes glowed faintly in the flickering light. Then stop running. Trust me. Trust you. Ethan barked. You're the reason they're here. But before he could stop her, she placed her hand on the control panel. The necklace around her neck pulsed, and the ship's systems answered her touch. Screens flickered, then stabilized. The engines gave a howl so deep it shook Ethan's bones. The ship twisted sharply, moving with unnatural grace. It spun between the frigate's blasts, weaving through fire as if the vessel itself had come alive. Ethan gripped the controls, but he realized he wasn't steering anymore. She was. Somehow through her touch she commanded the ship. Impossible, he whispered. Liara's voice was steady, almost distant, as though she was somewhere else. Machines listen to me. They always have. They always will. The frigate fired again, but this time Ethan's ship rolled perfectly, the blast missing by inches. Then in a sudden burst they darted through a nearby asteroid field. Are you insane? Ethan shouted. This ship can't survive this. Liara didn't answer. She simply moved her hand and the ship obeyed, gliding through narrow gaps between spinning rocks. The frigate followed, but its size worked against it. The asteroids crashed against its shields, slowing its pursuit. Ethan's heart pounded. He had flown for years, but never had he seen anything like this. The ship wasn't just flying, it was dancing. Finally, the frigate fired one last desperate volley. A bolt clipped the rear of Ethan's ship, sending it spinning. Ethan struggled to regain control, alarms blaring. Liara stepped closer, her hand still pressed to the console. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Not yet, the necklace flared brighter. The ship's system surged with strange energy, and suddenly they broke free, shooting out of the asteroid field at a speed that left the frigate far behind. The radar cleared. They were safe, for now. Ethan slumped back in his chair, breathing hard. His hands shook, his heart thundered. He turned to Liara, who stood calm, unbothered, her necklace dimming again. What? Are you? He whispered. Liara's silver eyes met his. I told you. I am no slave. I am the storm that follows kings, and the shadow that betrayers fear. Ethan stared at her, his throat dry. That's not an answer. Her gaze hardened. The answer would only put you in greater danger. Already you are marked by my presence. Already their hunters know your name. Do you not see? By taking me, you stepped into their war. Ethan slammed his fist against the console. I didn't ask for this. I just wanted a deal. I just wanted to survive. Liara's voice cut through his anger. And yet you survived today because of me. Without me, you would already be dust. The truth stung. Ethan hated it. He wanted to throw her off his ship, send her away, erase this curse. But he couldn't. Something deep inside told him he couldn't abandon her. Not yet. Later, in the dim light of the storage bay, Ethan repaired the ship's damage. Sparks hissed, wires smoked, and the air smelled of burnt metal. Liara watched him quietly, her hands folded. She didn't offer to help. She didn't need to. Her presence alone was heavy, like a shadow he couldn't escape. Finally, he broke the silence. Tell me the truth. Who are they? The ones chasing us? Liara's eyes darkened. They are hunters of the crown. Assassins of the throne. I am their quarry. Ethan froze. The throne? What throne? Her lips pressed into a thin line. For the first time, a flicker of pain crossed her face. She turned away, whispering just loud enough for him to hear. The throne I was born to inherit. Ethan's breath caught. He stared at her, disbelief flooding him. A slave? No, a fugitive? You're a princess. The revelation struck him harder than any battle. It all made sense now, the raiders, the hunters, the frigate. She wasn't just a runaway. She was a key to power, to empires. And he had her on his ship. But before he could speak, the ship's radar pinged again. Multiple signals. Closing fast, Ethan's blood ran cold. They're back. Liara's silver eyes glowed faintly once more. She whispered almost to herself, they will never stop. Not until I am either chained or dead. Ethan felt the weight of her words. He had thought the chase was over. But this was only the beginning. The storm was coming, and he was already caught inside it. The big reveal. The hum of the engines filled the cabin, steady but strained. Sparks still burned in the corners of the ship from the last attack. Ethan sat in the cockpit, sweat on his brow, hands trembling as he checked the controls again and again. They were still alive. Somehow. But the hunters would not stop. He knew that now. Behind him, Liara stood with quiet strength. She hadn't said a word since the last battle, but her silence pressed on Ethan heavier than any alarm. Finally, he spun toward her. Enough, you've danced around the truth since the beginning. No more riddles. No more half-answers. Tell me, who are you really? Liara's silver eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. For a moment, she said nothing. Then slowly, she reached up and unclasped the necklace from around her throat. The glow pulsed brighter now, spreading across the cockpit walls like veins of light. Symbols shimmered in the air, forming patterns Ethan didn't recognize. It felt like the ship itself bowed to her presence. Ethan swallowed hard. What is that? Liara's voice was steady but heavy, like every word carried the weight of a star. This is my birthright, a key of blood, a symbol of power. Those who hold it command not just fleets but entire worlds. Ethan shook his head, disbelief clawing at him. So you're what? Some noble? Some leader? Her gaze locked on him, sharp as a blade. I am Princess Liara of the Seraph Dominion, heir to the Crescent Throne, first daughter of House Velithar. The words hung in the air like thunder. Ethan's stomach dropped. He had heard the name before, Velithar. Even on the edges of human space, tales of that dynasty carried whispers. Rich beyond measure, rulers of 100 star systems, their empire stretched wider than any human fleet dared to dream. And now, their heir stood in his ship. Ethan's throat went dry. A princess. Lyra nodded once. Not just a princess. The princess. The one they fear. The one they want silenced. Ethan staggered back. His mind raced. The raiders hadn't given him a slave. They had given him the most valuable and most dangerous being in this part of the galaxy. Why? Ethan demanded. Why would they give you to me? Why would raiders hand over someone like you as payment? Liara's voice darkened. Because I was not taken. I escaped. And those who betrayed me made sure the galaxy would see me not as a princess, but as a slave. A worthless prize. A chain around someone's neck. They thought it would hide me. They thought it would bury me. Her fists tightened, her silver eyes burning with fury. But I am not buried. I am not broken. And they will learn that soon enough. Ethan stared at her, a storm raging in his chest. He had wanted a trade. He had wanted credits, fuel, survival. Instead, he had inherited a war. You expect me to believe all this? He asked, his voice low. Liara stepped closer, her presence radiating something powerful, undeniable. You don't have to believe. The galaxy already does. And because of that, you are already marked. Do you think those hunters chased us for me alone? No, they chased because you chose to keep me. You are tied to my name now, Ethan Cole. Whether you want it or not. Ethan's mouth went dry. She was right. Already his ship was on every hunter's list. Already his name was being whispered in networks and black markets. He couldn't run from this. Not anymore. He slumped into his chair, rubbing his face with his hands. I'm dead. I'm already dead. Liara knelt in front of him, forcing him to meet her gaze. No, you are alive. And because you stand beside me, you may yet live to see something greater than survival. You may live to see empires fall. Her words burned in him, dangerous but alive with promise. The ship's radar beeped again. Ethan turned sharply. 2 smaller ships appeared, speeding toward them. Interceptors, Ethan cursed. They never stop coming. Liara rose, her hand brushing the necklace once more. They will not stop. Not until I reclaim what was taken. Not until I return to my throne. Ethan shot her a sharp look. You mean to fight them? All of them? Her silver eyes glowed with fire. I mean to burn those who betrayed me. And if the galaxy stands in my way, then the galaxy will kneel. The air around her felt charged, like the storm before lightning. Ethan realized then, she wasn't just a fugitive running for her life. She was a force ready to reshape the stars themselves. And he was trapped in her orbit. The interceptors closed in, weapons primed. Ethan gripped the controls, fear battling against adrenaline. Beside him, Liara whispered, her voice low but sharp as a blade. Let them come. The crown does not bow. Betrayal and trust, the ship trembled under another impact. Explosions lit the darkness outside as the interceptors circled like hungry wolves. Their blasts scraped the hull, each one shaking the vessel closer to its breaking point. Ethan's hands flew over the controls, but fear gnawed at him. He wasn't built for war. He was a traitor, a survivor. Every second with Liara made survival harder. He risked a glance at her. She stood steady in the storm, eyes sharp, face calm. She looked less like a prisoner and more like what she had confessed, a ruler born for battle. But Ethan's thoughts twisted. A princess was valuable. Even broken empires paid for royal blood. If he handed her over, maybe, just maybe, he could buy his life back. The thought sickened him, but it burned in his mind all the same. Ethan, Liara said suddenly, her voice slicing through the chaos. The ship cannot take much more. I know. He snapped. His fingers tightened on the controls. Then his voice dropped bitter. And maybe it wouldn't have to if I'd left you back with those raiders. Silence filled the cockpit for a moment, broken only by alarms. Liara's gaze narrowed, unshaken. If you had, you would already be dead. They would have taken your metals and your ship. I was the only reason they let you walk away. Her words struck him like a blow. Deep down, he knew she was right. But fear twisted his thoughts again. He forced a harsh laugh. You say you're a princess. You say you're worth more than fleets. Do you know what that means to me? It means I could sell you, and every bounty hunter, every empire, every enemy chasing you, they'd line up to pay. For the first time, a flicker of hurt crossed her face. It was gone in an instant, replaced by steel. So that is what you think of me. A prize? A bag of gold? Ethan clenched his jaw. I think of survival. And you, Liara, you've already painted a target on my back. Tell me, why shouldn't I trade you for my life? The ship jolted again, another blast nearly tearing through the shields. Liara stepped closer, her silver eyes burning. Because, she said softly, dangerously, if you sell me, you will never escape. They will kill you after they take me. That is the way of traitors. They will not leave you breathing. Her words echoed in the small cabin, and Ethan knew the truth of them. Raiders, hunters, empires, they never left loose ends. But before he could answer, the interceptors struck again. The ship spun, alarm shrieking. Ethan cursed, fighting for control. Liara's voice cut through the noise. Let me guide it again. Ethan hesitated. Trust her or risk everything himself? He gritted his teeth, then pulled his hands back. Fine, do it. Liara pressed her palm to the console. The necklace glowed, flooding the ship with strange light. Instantly, the engines roared with power. The ship twisted sharply, moving with a grace Ethan could never achieve. The interceptors fired, but the vessel danced through the blasts, sliding between deadly beams of light. Liara's eyes shone, her voice a whisper. They will not take us. She pulled the ship into a sudden dive, then rolled hard. An interceptor clipped an asteroid and exploded in a flash of fire. The shockwave rippled through the void. One down, Ethan muttered, awe and fear mixing in his chest. Liara didn't answer. Her focus burned like fire as she guided the ship through impossible maneuvers. The second interceptor pressed close, firing relentlessly. But Liara moved as if she knew its path before it acted. At the last second, she shifted the ship and the enemy overshot them. Ethan saw the opening. Instinct took over. He slammed the weapon system, firing a burst from the rear cannons. The blast tore into the interceptor's engines. It spun wildly, then erupted into flame. The radar cleared. The void fell silent again. Ethan's hand shook, his chest heaving. He turned to Liara. She still stood steady, her hand on the console, the necklace dimming. For a moment their eyes locked. Neither spoke. Both knew what had just happened. Together, they had survived. Ethan broke the silence, his voice rough. You saved us again. Liara tilted her head. And you destroyed the last ship. You fought beside me, not against me. Perhaps there is more to you than fear. Ethan looked away, ashamed of his earlier thoughts. He had considered betraying her. He had weighed her life against his own. But in the heat of battle, he had chosen to fight with her, not against her. And for the first time, he wondered if maybe she wasn't his curse. Maybe she was his only chance. Later, as the ship floated in quiet space, Ethan sat across from her. His voice was low, heavy. I thought about selling you. Liara's expression didn't change. I know, his chest tightened. You knew? She nodded. Fear makes men predictable. But I also knew you would not. Why? Ethan asked, almost desperate. Why trust me? Liara leaned closer, her silver eyes burning with quiet fire. Because Ethan Cole, in you I see a man who hides behind survival. But when the storm comes, survival is not enough. You chose to fight. That is why I trust you. Her words settled deep inside him. He didn't respond, but something in his chest shifted. She trusted him. And for the first time he felt he could trust her too. But trust was a fragile thing. Outside in the endless dark, larger shadows moved. Fleets stirred. Empires whispered. And the real storm was still waiting to fall. The final twist. The stars stretched endless and cold. Ethan's ship floated in uneasy silence, scarred from battle but still alive. He sat in the cockpit, his hands heavy on the controls. Liara stood behind him, her eyes on the void. They both knew it was only quiet because the hunters were gathering strength. The radar beeped once. Then again. Then it screamed. Dozens of red dots filled the screen. An entire fleet. Ethan's stomach dropped. No, this can't be real. Liara's gaze hardened. It is. They have come. The fleet emerged from the darkness. Warships, carriers, destroyers, a wall of steel and fire. Their lights burned across the void like a second galaxy. At their center, a ship larger than anything Ethan had ever seen loomed like a mountain in space. A voice cracked through the comms, cold and merciless. Deliver the runaway. Surrender, Princess Liara, or die where you drift. Ethan's chest tightened. The voice confirmed everything. They didn't want him. They wanted her. He turned to her, his voice trembling. Liara, there's no way out of this. They'll tear us apart. She didn't flinch. Not if we strike first. Ethan gaped at her. Strike first? With what? Look at us. We're one broken ship against an empire. Her necklace pulsed with light, brighter than ever before. The glow spread across the ship, crawling through its systems, waking circuits Ethan didn't even know existed. The vessel trembled, alive again with unnatural energy. Liara's voice dropped to a whisper, dangerous and calm. You do not understand. This ship is not just yours anymore. It listens to me now. And with me it is more than metal. It is a weapon of the crown. Before Ethan could respond, the ship surged forward, faster than its engines should allow. Weapon systems lit up, glowing with alien symbols. Ethan grabbed the console, stunned. This isn't possible. Liara's eyes blazed silver fire. It is not possible for you. For me, it is destiny. The fleet opened fire, thousands of blasts cutting through the void. But Ethan's ship danced between them with impossible precision. Liara guided it like an extension of her own body. Target their engines, she commanded. Ethan obeyed, firing the cannons. The beam struck true, crippling one of the smaller ships. It spun, colliding with another. Fire erupted in the void. For a brief, insane moment, Ethan almost believed they could win. But then the massive flagship stirred. Its cannons turned toward them, glowing brighter than suns. Ethan's heart froze. We can't beat that. Not even with your tricks, Liara didn't answer. Instead, she placed her hand over his. Her touch was steady, her eyes burning with something deeper than rage. Resolve. You saved me when you could have sold me. You stood with me when the void closed in. Now, Ethan Cole, I give you a choice. He stared at her, the glow of the necklace reflecting in her eyes. Stand with me, she said softly. Stand with the heir of the Seraph Dominion. Together we can tear down those who betrayed me. Together we can claim the stars. Or, her voice hardened, walk away now. Abandon me, take your ship and vanish. But know this, the galaxy will burn and you will watch it burn from the shadows. The ship shook violently as the flagship charged its weapons. Time was running out, Ethan's mind spun. He was a traitor, a survivor, not a warrior, not a hero. But here he was, holding the hand of a princess who could command fleets with her blood. He could walk away. He could run. But if he did, he knew he would never escape the shadow of what he had left behind. He met her eyes. And for the first time, he didn't see a slave or even just a princess. He saw a storm vast and unstoppable, and he saw himself within it. I'll stand, he said. His voice was low but steady. Liara's lips curved into the faintest smile. Not of relief, not of gratitude, but of power. Then the galaxy will remember your name, the flagship fired. A beam of pure energy, bright as a dying star, cut toward them. Liara raised the necklace high. Its light flared, wrapping the ship in a shield of blinding silver. The beam struck and split. The void erupted in fire, a clash of powers that shook the stars themselves. When the light cleared, the fleet was in chaos. Ships scattered. Alarms blared across enemy channels. And in the heart of the storm, Ethan's ship floated unbroken, wrapped in silver light. Ethan stared, breathless. We survived. Liara's eyes burned brighter than ever. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. No, we have only begun. Outside, the fleet reformed. The battle was far from over. But now Ethan understood. This was no escape. This was war, and he had chosen his side.